Hey there, YouTube. Yankee Red here. Stuck in Dallas. They took the load off of me from Dallas, Texas, going up to Colorado. First time I'm going to Colorado. I was pretty excited about going up there, but that load ended up getting canceled, so now I'm going to Illinois. Going to, one second here. Actually, I think it's Olney, Illinois. Yeah, Olney, Illinois. Walmart, which I actually did a dedicated out of there for a few months while I was over in Illinois stuck. But I was just sitting here at one of our terminals down in Dallas. I just went and got my truck washed and can't sleep. So I figured I'll give you all an update on the whole leasing with Warner. So I'll grab my book. I know this isn't the most organized video in the world, but like I said, I'm still new. This is only my second video uploading. I finally officially went through a full book. Focus. This is 11.3 to 11.8. It's a full book to keep track of all your trips and runs and all that. So my first week was only a few days. Our week is Monday at midnight to, Tuesday of 12:01 in the morning to Monday at 11:59. That is basically our week period, and then we're paid on Tuesdays. My first week that I ran, I did not have a lot of miles since I had started on, I believe it was a Saturday. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to really drive or get any miles in. But throughout that whole week, I had gotten, I believe this is the last one. So for 3 days of work, 2 days of work, I'd gotten 1,205 miles, and paycheck was pretty good. This one I didn't have a truck payment or anything, but I was stupid, didn't pay attention to some signs, and did a no-no. Parked somewhere where I really shouldn't have, and my truck ended up getting booted because of it. It cost me $500 to get a boot off, because I put these very small placards that are about this big that say that no trucks parking and you will be booted, be $500 fine, from Bucky. That was in Georgia. Can't remember exactly where in Georgia, but that kind of put a hindrance on making any money that week. I ended up owing, I believe it was $100 and something to the company that came out of the week afterwards. That's it right here. It was a $500 boot. That was in Union City, Georgia. Went to Procter & Gamble in Union City, and I parked at a Walmart, which gets me into a whole different rant on Walmarts. They are very anti-truck friendly, but parked at a Walmart, was there for a little while, parked way in the back, way in the back of the parking lot, about 2 hours after I'd been asleep for about probably an hour and a half. The security guy came around and said that I had to move. So I drove across the lot, went across the road to a big parking lot where I saw 3 other trucks. Didn't take any mind to it. It was about 2, 3, 4 in the morning, something around there. and park my truck. Keep in mind, I was a bobtail. Bobtails really do not take up many spaces. In a regular, let's just say grocery store, Walmart, typical parking spot, we will take up 2 spots, 1.5 spots. So I parked, not like a jackass, parked in a spot, and I got booted. What really sucked was I had just woken up about 15 minutes earlier, and I was just about to head out when I got a phone call from my company telling me that I got booted. And it took about 2 hours to get that all situated, get the boot off, and pick my load up. That sucked. But let's get back on the topic I was talking about a little while ago. My first real week of driving, I did some miles. I ran my clock, I ran it smart, ran it proper. And after everything's said and done, focus. Doesn't it want to focus? I had 3,510 miles. And this week I did not have to take a truck payment. My truck payments are $673 a week, and my insurance is $595 a month. I have 5 cents of odometer miles that goes into a maintenance that I do not get to touch. I have 5 cents that goes into what I get back after I finish the lease completion. After I finish the lease at 3 years, I get 5 cents for each and every odometer mile that I've drove on this truck. I had picked this truck up with, give me 1 second here, 2,000 miles on it. Less than 2,000 miles, actually. I'd picked it up actually at this terminal here and drove it up to Omaha. I believe that's about 700 or 800 miles. I picked this truck up with about 1,100 miles on it. And at this very second, I am at, I believe it's 17,751.7 miles on it. In less than a month. Well, about a month. Yeah, I'll say about a month. Because like I said, I first started my leasing at 11/3 was my first load as a lease driver with Warner Enterprise. So a little more than a month, I have done 16-ish thousand miles as a solo driver. I don't believe that that's too bad. I don't think that's bad at all. But that was my first week doing 3,500 miles, and the following week I had done a little bit more than just the, let me see if I can find the actual page here. This is how many miles I came up with. I was a few miles off. It was actually 3810, I believe it was. If this focuses. I wrote up as 3769. They came out with, I believe they said 3810. This was running off a recap. That's why recap and playing your clock smart is a very, very good idea. Please excuse my truck. My starter. The inverter loves to drain my batteries. I had a 2,000 watt inverter in here. I got a mini fridge and microwave, Xbox, TV. My phone's charging, my battery's charging, so on and so forth. I mean, it drains a little bit of battery. I'll be straightforward with you. I come to YouTube and I don't necessarily have a game plan of what I want to talk about. I'm better when I just wing it rather than try to think about what to talk about. When I try and think about what I want to talk about, it comes out not the way I like it. It stresses me out to the point where I don't want to do it, so it's better to just roll with the flow. That's why it kind of seems like this is thrown together, because realistically it is just thrown together. But like I said, this is my second video. I hope to get better content in the future and give y'all what you're looking for. As I mentioned in my first video, I want to show you guys how the trucking industry really is. And I am definitely not the typical driver. I have no problem sitting in a seat and driving all day. I have no problem putting miles in. I have no problem running my clock each and every single day. No problem. I mean, I'll show y'all book here real quick. I'll just pop this open. We use Qualcomm, and I absolutely love Qualcomm. It is so easy to use, and this is my last days, except for today. Today was a short day because, like I said, they took my load from me. So I only have, I think I only got 291 miles, if that's focused. Yeah, I think so. I don't see an option in here to flip the camera, so but as for the last few days, today I got 291 miles right now. Yesterday I got 686. Day before that 497. Day before that 509. Day before that 500. Day before that 685. And I would like to mention that in a full day, we are only allowed to drive. We're only allowed to drive 11 hours. And when I was a company driver, I was governed at 65. Lease drivers are allowed to bump up their trucks to 75, and that is the max. Which, realistically, there's not a lot of places that go above 75. So I don't complain. I mean, a lot of people sit here and tell you this is probably the best advice that I've ever gotten when I started doing lease and paying for my own fuel and my own repairs and everything out of my own pocket. Do not chase fuel economy. You're never going to be satisfied with what you get. And since then, when it's 75, I go 75. If it's clear, weather's good, and it's safe to do so, I will do the speed limit. It's more of a hazard for me to go 65 compared to following with the speed limit, because now I am obstructing traffic and someone not paying attention could easily hit me. That's my view on trucks being governed slower than what the speed limit is. Like down here in Texas, most highways are 75. Not necessarily saying that everyone goes 75. That is a pretty common theme down here, is it's 75, but people still feel like not going the speed limit. So you do have to follow with how traffic's rolling. But let's move on to a different subject here. Things that are necessities for when you start driving truck. Atlas. Get yourself an Atlas. It saved me countless times. I've had times where I didn't know if I was allowed to be down a road. And without my Atlas, I honestly would have probably went out of route a lot more to avoid where I thought I wasn't allowed. There is a tunnel bridge down in the Virginia area. It's the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. The first time I ever had started to go over that, I was heading south. I'm not a big fan of bridges, not a big fan of tunnels. I don't like not being able to see land anymore. I don't like being above water in the middle of nowhere. So it was definitely different. The biggest thing that worried me when I first started going there was seeing the sign that said 13.6 tunnel. I had immediately pulled over onto the rest area right before you get onto go through the toll booth. Because once you go through the toll booth, there's no turning around. I mean, you are over the bridge. There is nowhere to turn around. I believe that pulling in there and looking things up was smart but stupid. The things that I had found about that bridge made it 10 times worse. There have been so many drivers that have been pushed off the bridge into the water because of high winds. They said it's one of the most dangerous, scariest bridges to go over empty. I was empty. I sat there, looked everything over, and I found out that I was able to go through there. After so, I got in my truck, got my seat, turned my truck on, and just went for it. The first time scared the living shit out of me, I'll be honest. I don't like bridges, I don't like tunnels, I don't like being over water. I could not see land on either end. It was just water and a bridge. It's beautiful. It is a very beautiful, beautiful area. But I still don't like bridges. That leads me to a different story now of gosh. Alright, so back to what we were talking about previous. Things you need when you're first getting into the trucking industry. Get yourself an atlas. Get yourself a GPS. Don't cheap out. Personally, I like my Garmin. It's only steered me wrong maybe a handful of times in the 9-10 months that I've been driving, and none of them were stupid. Well, some of them were stupid. The other day, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago, it was not updated yet, so that's on my bad. They had just laid down a new road. Previous to the update, it was a highway that goes opposite ways. So it's 2 lanes, but they go opposite ways. Recently, they updated it so it's highway that goes this way, highway that goes this way, two lanes with a median in between it. It wanted me to turn off of the way that I was going, the proper way, onto, I believe it was Road O, and turn onto going the wrong way up the highway. These are things that you really need to know and have, smarts. Think about it. Does that make sense? Look over. I looked over. I saw do not enter signs on that side, so I just kept going the way that I was going, and it ended up being correct, because at the end of it, they do merge back together with 2 lanes still, but they are together at that point. Another time was in Chicago. I was pulling up on the road. I was in the actual city, not highway, and it wanted me to take a right. If I took that right, there was a bridge right here with a concrete barrier right here. There was no way I was making that turn. So at that point, you have to think about it. Most of Chicago is blocks. I went straight, took a left, took a left, took a left, went at it straight on, made it under no problem. That's where I say that GPSs are very, very handy as a tool to tell you where to go, but don't follow it and be a steering wheel holder. There are multiple ways of saying that you're a steering wheel holder. Does not necessarily mean you're that you drive an automatic. I do drive an automatic now, not my preference. I prefer my third pedal, but Warner, only way to lease truck is to have an automatic. So I bit the bullet and got the automatic. I miss my truck every day, but she blew up. And that's a different subject to talk about in the future. And I believe this is a good time to have a bake. Another thing. If you don't smoke, you might start. This is a job that you are sitting in a seat, doing nothing, driving, looking straight ahead for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on time. If you don't smoke, don't start, don't touch them. It's a bad habit. I don't want to sound like your mama, but it's true. It's a very bad habit. I broke that habit for the most part. Still vaping, still quitting, still working on quitting. But besides that, I feel like the video's dragging on now. So, like I said, if y'all have any questions about driving, I know I haven't been doing it for too long. I'm still new at it, but I have a perspective at it as new rather than old timers that all they remember is the old times and how much they hate the new times. So if you got a question, ask me. I will have no problem answering it. And subscribe, leave comments, like the videos, do what y'all want. If there's, like I said, if there's anything y'all want to talk about, anything y'all want to see, I mean, if y'all want to see videos of driving, you know, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful parts of the country. I was in New Mexico. That was absolutely gorgeous, breathtaking area. Nothing there, just natural scenery, and it was breathtaking. The Panhandle of Texas, beautiful, beautiful area. Parts of Chicago are beautiful at night. Parts of New York are beautiful. It's nice out here. You just have to remember you're not going to be home. As of right now, I've been out for 2 weeks, and I don't plan on going home for another 3. That's 5 weeks out. After I go home, I'll be home for 4 or 5 days. After them 5 days, I go back out. I won't be home for 2 months. So if you got a wife, kids, family, talk to them. Make sure they're okay with it. Well, I'm going to leave it on this. Alright? Y'all take care. Drive safe.